A good movie is a perfect companion for long-haul flights, and Air China is one of the country's largest carriers. Vice President and General Manager of Air China North America, Zhihang Chi, shared his insights into the company's expansion plans, and I began by asking him about Air China's rise to success.
We started out as an entity, which was not to make a profit. But then as China changed, we changed as well. We became a full-blood, for-profit company. We're publicly traded in Hong Kong, in London, and in New York. And so we compete in the marketplace. And we started out very small. We had to grow very fast, we had to grow big in order to compete. And so we aggressively acquired airplanes, and also we acquired some carriers. There was a couple rounds of consolidation. All this obviously was buoyed by the fast-growing Chinese economy. If the economy has been growing at a clip of 10%, typically airline growth tracks the growth of economy.
Let's talk a little bit about the expansion plan. Speaking of growth in North America, you signed some major agreements recently.
For us, if you watch the domestic world of aviation in the United States, domestic carriers, big ones, have all been cutting back on their capacity. But we have been growing internationally. So then, in other words, we're hauling more and more passengers from China to the United States and hauling more and more passengers from the United States to China. But we only fly to gateways. We need domestic carriers to flow traffic for us.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because with that type of growth, I mean, you currently fly to 4 cities in North America: Vancouver, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. Could you give us a sneak peek on some other cities that might be on the radar for you?
First, we want to beef up our gateways that we fly to, those 4 cities. Let me tell you, back in 2004, when I first joined Air China, to those 4 cities that we still fly to these days, we were operating 16 flights a week back then. Today, it's 35 flights a week, so more than double. And we'll continue to build up those cities. Next, we're going to have to expand our network.
Profit. Air China's profit, while it's been impressive over the last couple of years, it was down 16% in its latest quarter. Could you share with us a little bit about how much the global economy has had an impact on the bottom line for Air China?
Well, if you look at the world, there are some trouble spots. The first one is Europe. Europe is actually a bigger piece than the U.S. market for us. And then also Japan. Japan was hit pretty hard, last year and earlier this year. So those 2 markets produce some negative impact on our bottom line. And of course, fuel went up this year, although it's retreating a little bit. And then domestic China, we're watching very closely because there were some signs of slowdown. Although, again, we're seeing it pick up again.
A challenging environment.
Very much so. There's quite a bit of uncertainty, frankly. So looking to 2013, again, we're going to watch Europe very, very closely. Mostly that's for my CEO. But if I just look at the U.S., we're watching this physical cliff, obviously, very, very closely to see what kind of impact it will generate, what will happen, what kind of impact it will generate, whether it's going to throw the U.S. economy back in recession again. I mean, that's a big question mark. I mean, that's a big uncertainty that we're watching very closely. And we think the Chinese economy will pick up, or will continue to do well. And one big thing for us is we're seeing meaningful improvement in the visa situation for Chinese nationals. As you probably have heard, it's been a big challenge for Chinese nationals to get visas to travel to the United States. That has tremendously suppressed and depressed the travel market between the U.S. and China, but that's improving.